Okay. All right. Okay, because I like to start at 2:20 so you guys can get out of here so you don't feel like you've been here all day. Like I say, get on here. Things that you probably want to know. What's on the quiz tomorrow? Because it starts quarter two. Quarter two starts tomorrow. Some of you are around the 79, 89 area. Like, oh, how would I pick up my grade? Well, you can start tomorrow. All right. It's by picking up your grade. Some of you did a really good job of picking up your grade since the beginning of the quarter. All right. And saying you finished on a strong point on a high note. Continue that if you want to succeed in this class. All right. Don't be like a sine wave. I'm pretty sure some of you guys know that what that is or what it looks like. Oh, Mr. Bryce, I know math. Like that. Now, I don't know history, but I know math. So tomorrow's quiz will be on the Second Great Awakening, the SGA, right? And kind of the beginnings of Manifest Destiny, all right? John O'Sullivan coining that term around 1845, meaning that probably, though, I don't know if we'll get to it, like the Mexican American War, will probably just kind of be adding on. Maybe it might be on there, just maybe getting to the rumblings of the beginnings, but maybe not. Probably will not have time for that. But that does not mean you guys will be confused. So that means the Battle of the Alamo is not going to be on there. No. No. Why is that not true? Why is that not true? Why would the Battle of Alamo would be on tomorrow's quiz? Go ahead, Sarah. It's not. It's kind of like its own separate big thing that happened. Okay, never mind. I had an idea in my head. I was gonna say. Go ahead, Naomi. Thank you. Thank you. Which a lot of people will confuse tomorrow. And they were like, oh, it's just one big thing, the Alamo, the Mexican American War. Is that the Spanish American War, Mr. Price? No. So the name, the Alamo, the Battle of the Alamo, and the Republic of Texas. You've heard of that, right? Okay, after quarter one, please do not let your brain take over and just say, all right, party time. I have passed. I have a B, C, or low A. I'm good. Like that. So try to regroup yourselves and everything because I'm telling you, I'll get you back into reality tomorrow. All right. So we have another uphill climb for some of you. So just stay into the game. So that's probably what would be on there. That's consideration because it's a republic from 1836 to 1845. So, and in addition to, because I know you love those videos, definitely on again, the men who made America, like the frontiersman, John Fremont, like again, John Fremont, like again, Kit Carson, Davy Crockett, something about that on there. So as you guys, especially my first period people don't have a chance like at Witherspoon. Hey, I say I better tell me which one, and you can kind of abbreviate, look through the video. So something like that. But anyway, let's go back just because it's been it seems like about a week and a half about SGA. But first, before we do that, give me a list, and all I'm looking for is a list of the historical context of the mid 19th century. All I'm looking for is a list, but it's good to take down this kind of list because, again, either people, events, or places that will give me historical context for the mid 19th century. Hit me. I'm looking for people. I'm looking for events or something that influence that gives us historical context for the mid 19th century. All right, Divine. What? Charles who? I can't hear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I know you guys speak so clearly. My hearing is. Charles G. Finney is one. It's definitely for that. Miles, thank you. All right, that's actually gives us a more broad kind of thing here. Of there is the transportation revolution slash market revolution slash first industrial revolution, and things should be generating your brains right there to yourself about how that gives historical context to the mid 19th century. Something else. Yes, sir. The cult of domesticity gives us, some historical context. Lyman Beecher definitely does too. Let's back up just a little bit and do a little bit more broad context here. You guys are all straight about here, getting a little bit too specific in a way. I want to kind of bring it, stretch it out a little bit. Who's a person who came here to give us analysis of Americans? Tocqueville, very good. Now, most all of you said that too, actually. Right. So, give me a brief summary. What did he say about his analysis about Americans? Sarah, hit us with something. Super religious. Individualism. That's all right, people looking at the notes. What'd you say, Christian? Very democratic, egalitarian, always busy. Thank you. Like that. So that gives us historical context, and I told you probably will see him tomorrow just because it's someone that kind of gives a general analysis of the time who wrote a book that was published later on in France about democracy in America when he came here in 1831. All right, some more broad things on this time that you guys have forgotten. You need to see the forest instead of the trees in some way besides Tocqueville. Jacksonian democracy. What's the price? We're done with that. We're doing the Second Great Awakening. Has nothing to do with Jacksonian democracy, you know. So you have that's going on there. So and my favorite people, again, Emerson, Thoreau, Whitman, Margaret Fuller. What is this? Transcendentalism. I didn't get too many responses on that one. They didn't know, like, because I threw in Margaret Fuller. They're like, women. I know Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony. That's all I need to know, right? For the rest of my life. Yes, do a lot of these women a lot of great service. That's in our times by just knowing the all stars. Right? So that is going on in the second. And what are the transcendentalists? What does Ralph Waldo Emerson and then what is their basic message? Him and Thoreau and stuff. What do you where is their center? Where are they grounded at physically? Nature. And that even the title of Ralph Waldo Emerson's most famous book, not as much as famous as Walden, it's Nature. Right. You don't need to know when it was published, but 1836, and it really comes out here that you need to be grounded in nature. What is it about? What are they looking for? And what are they searching for? And what are they kind of fighting for in a way? What are they looking for? Just think about it, even though maybe you need to follow up on that on about transcendentalism. What are they looking for? What do you think they are? What do you think they're kind of like, who can help them themselves? It's the individual. Well, that's it. They didn't use the term deism, but they say more than anything that you do have this self empowerment to change things and do things to better yourself and mankind. It's a reaction to the market revolution, to the regimentation of work, modern society. at that time. And really, again, you will see definitely that all of those guys, especially Thoreau, is a reaction to, um, again, the other major influence that's going on during this time, sectionalism. All right, meaning that again that people are dividing up, and he's really anti-slavery. So is Emerson, because they say if I am free, then everybody should be free. It's only kind of like in right by human nature that we have these freedoms. They never really would, they don't like to organize themselves into movements like abolitionists and kind of like temperance themselves as transcendentalists because they're still kind of cool, you know. So they like to be on the fringes, but they still would kind of promote these thoughts by lecturing, by writing, by expressing themselves. Now, so you got sectionalism, you got transcendentalism, you got Tocqueville kind of making it Jacksonian democracy, all that. And the last thing, because I just said it already, because the Mormons are doing it. Like again, the Seventh Day Adventists are doing this. The kind of John Fremont is doing this. People are all kind of like ever since 18 really oh 03 manifest destiny. Why 1803? I would say that's the starting point. By the way, you can say it's another year that's the starting point. Why would I use 1803 as the start of Manifest Destiny? Should take a good. Thank you, Nick. Louisiana Purchase. Mr. Price, I found a textbook that says 1812 is the start. Oh, yeah. Well, we know a definite start of Manifest Destiny. It's a definitely specific year. No, it's not. Just like the Second Great Awakening and the First Great Awakening. Meaning that people are moving out west. It is can be debatable. Zebulon Pike, 1806. We see the, you know, even though there's no land gain in the Spanish American War, and we also can say that growing nationalism is a historical context at this time. Speaking of the War of 1812. So Manifest Destiny is doing this. Now, I like lists. Now, I like things here. First thing that we need to do is kind of divide up what is the difference between the First Great Awakening and the Second Great Awakening. Three big things I can think of myself right here, right now, that's on there. You want to have? Well, okay. Hold on to that. Predestination, the first and second Great Awakening thing they will have in common, they're answering. By the way, that's great that you said that. Let's see if somebody can answer you. Who prescribes to predestination? What Christian religious faith prescribes to predestination? Go ahead. Calvinism. All right. And you should know that. They both had in common, Jackson, that they were answering Calvinism, rationalism, deists, the Enlightenment in a way. So that's in common, which is great. Let's do a list of differences here for these two kind of religious great awakenings. Go ahead. New Lights is the first great awakening, and they really did not have anything. They talked about that in the second great awakening at all. That's true. Not the major thing. That could be in the top five of things for sure. But thank you. All right, like that, because you're trying to get back into this, you know, again, history, and as it keeps growing layer upon layer on this. I know you guys keep hoping, oh, we're going to forget all about this, like, you know, in February or when I take the test, there'll be no mention of these things that Mr. Price keeps on concentrating on. No, it's going to build up. Go ahead. Yes, it is true. It is a response, not in my top three. It is a response to that because it is a response to modernization. We only think of modernization in the 20th century, but modernization is going on in the 19th century. All right, great, Jay. Okay, and it kind of goes along with what I was saying the top three. This second great awakening is much bigger and more expansive. The second great awakening is much bigger and more expansive and more influential. So that's just one thing, though. I'm doing not the top three things. It is definitely going to breed all these like really reform movements. The second great awakening, right? First great awakening was more about trying to get people back into the church from the old lights being so stuffy and kind of, somewhat still congregationalist like or Puritan Calvinist like. It says there's being a new way. They're both about emotions, both about being more expressive, but the second great awakening is just more expensive. All right. Yes. And that would be part of my first thing. You're definitely right. And actually, it gets to, I'll move up to that. All right. The second big thing, it had more effect on women and African Americans. Notice I said more of an effect. So I don't want you to think that first great awakening is like, well, you like again, like we don't want any ladies around, or we're not talking to any African Americans here, slave or non-slave. We're not doing any of that. No, they were. But unlike the first great awakening, second great awakening had much more effect on abolitionism. When John Brown, nobody knows him as John Brown. He's in church and he says like that, "Do you have something to say, sir?" And he stands up. He says, "I, John Brown, will fight to my death to end slavery." You get it? So that's kind of like really such SGA like on that. And he's like really trying to make that cause, that fervor, that motivation to do something to change society. And by the way, why are they trying to change society? Why are they trying to create less drinking? I think let's think religion and think about country and freedom. Are they being disloyal? What would be the ultimate motivation? Why, like Angelina Grimke was trying to, the first period saw this video, trying to tell her mom that, like, hey, um, her brother was like whipping a slave or beating him too much and everything. Why was she so concerned? Why are these people so concerned with American society here, Jamie? She was more afraid that her brother was. But you're right. You're right. I think you're kind of getting there, Mom. Bring it out a little bit. What is the bigger picture of of like what's going to be the ultimate thing here that may happen here, Naomi? Yes, there's ultimate judgment on family and country. I'm trying to save the country by freeing the slaves. I am a good American because I think judgment will be passed upon us. If you read Exodus the proper way, it's about like nobody should be in bondage. So they are really concerned about the judgment upon the souls and the things about this in there. And again, before you scoff, before you laugh, there's so many people in here, like, believe in the afterlife, believe in some kind of judgment at the end. And I know when I'm up there with St. Peter's, like, what are you doing here? Like, you know where you're going. I don't know. They don't have ice cream anyway. I mean, but I feel like the other place, the ice cream was always going to be melting. Like, oh, excuse the video here. You might want to be like, damn this. And then I'm like, oh, I shouldn't say this. And the devil's like, it's all right here. It's okay. Sorry. And I'll be like, oh, I should have said that. I'm getting like, actually, it's okay here. Oh, maybe I should censor that part. But anyway, so that's the second one. Jessica, I'm sorry for clarification. Okay, let me go back to two because I did not get to the third one yet, really. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And you're actually kind of numbering it. All right. Yeah. First one, much wider impact. All right. Two, it definitely had more of an impact or significance to African Americans and women. I told you when somebody mentioned here that you had Peter Cartwright or Charles Finney out there in the camps, the congregation is like, is there any men out here? It seemed like it's like 95% women are here on here. The third thing, the first Great Awakening united the country more, while the second Great Awakening revealed the differences more. That is very, do you understand? First Great Awakening is like, hey, you know what unites us? Oh, we don't like the Catholics. Again, she's like, and also, we also don't like really the Anglican Church, and we have a more of a widening of denominations that you can choose from. That's what makes us more American than democracy, choice, and individuals. Well, really, the Second Great Awakening is like, you have your John Browns, like again, on one side, and then you have your John C. Calhouns, Charles Fitzhugh. You don't have to know his name for tomorrow. People who would justify slavery at any cost to make sure they keep, again, the three P's: profits, priorities, and prejudice. Thank you. And prejudice. That's why all the time I always keep it on, like again, about justifying slavery, even using religion. So those are the three things here, like again, that you probably will see tomorrow in some type of fashion. All right. What are the differences between all the following is true or differences except, like I said again, between the first and second Great Awakening? And you need to know that. All right, for sure. Like I say, going on. Kind of to rehash a little bit here before we get, you really tomorrow will probably not get too much abolitionist movement. We'll kind of do that next week in a way. You will not, so you can kind of put that a little bit like, we're not going to get into too much details, but details into temperance, utopian movements, school reform, prison reform, mental illness, and finally, the women's rights movement that I kind of touched on last week. 1840, you have Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott going to England for what? What did they go first? This is not 1848. I know you guys loved time and chronology because everybody said, who was favored for the bank in 1816? Alexander Hamilton. And I kept on putting on your Empire Wealth, said, dead. He's dead. All right. Aaron Burr, dead. I know. 1840, going to England for what do you think? Kind of somewhat, hint, hint, the same reason as 1848. So what would they be going to England for if it's kind of hint, hint, if it's 1848? Go ahead, Logan. It is an abolitionist convention. Thank you. Very good. Now, what is the thing is that they get upset about once they go over there? How do you think in the meeting itself, what are some of the things that happens to the women there where they're like, again, they say like, this is not too cool like that. And you need to follow up on this. Go ahead. They were letting it separate seating. They were not able to speak. Now, of course, people like William Lloyd Garrison, in protest, sat with them. There was few, but that's really being very open-minded, really, at this time. So, took them about 8 years, but I mean, again, it does because you got to thank Elizabeth Cady Stanton because she has a lot of kids. Like again, like I think it's like at least not before 1848, but she's had like 3 or 4 kids by that time. And she moves to Boston, then back to Seneca Falls. And you know how, just time to get people together for this, meeting to call for, like, again, to come up with this declaration of what? Sentiments, like again in there. And they're speaking about it. And the biggest thing in there is property. Voting is in there too as well, but that's going to be contentious. Most of the women see that as too radical at this time. Can we inherit some property, especially something that I work for? Can we have more opportunities in education and just career wise? Can we be treated as equal? Can we have, again, those types of things in here that they were talking about? And very significant of what they're doing. And a lot of the women work for, abolitionists too. Like again, Lydia Marie Child. Don't worry, you don't have to write the names down that you guys don't care about. Is that, Mary Lyons and all, and they're all kind of like, trying to work for these, again, these equal rights at this time here. And equal rights for them is not like, oh, so I can work in construction or work in the factories exactly. It's just more that I should say more, at least more opportunities and more of these kind of like property rights. All right, good. Kind of closing the door right now, probably the main points for a second Great Awakening historical context. I'm going to move into the last 5 minutes. Definitely would be on your quiz tomorrow. Is that we got to pick up after Andrew Jackson. Right? Not necessarily that you know the next guy, because actually his term of office is just, one term. Who comes after Jackson? Did somebody say Ronald Reagan? I thought Martin Van Ruin. That's how I remember him. Of course, it's Van Buren. What party is he? You need to wait and think, and then you can figure it out. Democrat. Don't. Somebody tried to do the double answer. Democrat, Whig. You choose, Mr. Bryce. How did you deduce that he's a Democrat? Very good. Very good. Vice President for Andrew Jackson, and actually probably more the strategist for the Democratic Party, even though he's probably a person, one of those presidents, if you forget, it's not going to be, I'm condemning you. But why was his term of office mostly a failure? Probably by economic circumstance. He could not, Right, exactly. So, and again, it's the economic downturn, the panic of 1837, and really the Depression. Now, I want to say here that we have a significant election coming up. The first, actually, probably the third significant election after 1800, after 1824. All right, all right. So is the election of 1840 because it's the first modern political election. You probably will forget the winner because you're like, oh, it's Tecumseh's curse. So I say, I don't need to know him like that. But you say, well, Mr. Price, why is this a modern election? Because you get this, these kind of really campaigns that you see today that people would do outwardly. They had this, again, this big wheel that, like I say, that would come across and said, vote for William Henry Harrison, and John Tyler. They had slogans, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. And actually, for the first time, William Henry Harrison, right, would actually go out and actually speak to people at rallies. And so would Martin Van Buren. And actually, it's kind of funny, and I guess it's kind of like today. Probably neither one of them were represented in a correct way. They're all really like, people voted really over lies in a way, in hyperbole. Martin Van Buren, ooh, he's building refurbishing the White House. I heard he eats with a gold spoon. Ooh, Martin Van Buren, he doesn't like hard cider. He's not the common man. hard cider, and log cabin. And somebody said, I don't think William Henry Harrison has a log cabin. And he was like, he had kind of a mansion, like again in Ohio. Like again, he has a nice place there, like that. So what do you mean by that? But you see, still today, as you guys are going to get inundated with in the next, probably even next year, even before the year of the election, all this hyperbole, all these exaggerations, all this name calling. All right, who wins? William Henry Harrison. All right. And then what party is he? Give me a minute. Whig. And when you're a Whig, you die. All right. You die. Zachary Taylor. Whig, he dies. All right. And he's the next Whig president that comes in 1848. So who takes place of William Henry Harrison is John Tyler. I say, and he really is going to be a lot of problems because he is a wino, not drinking. He's Whig in name only. He acts like a more of a Democrat. Last thing before you guys go, and I'll get to Jessica. Go ahead, hit me because John Tyler. All right. Now, last thing before you go, this is probably the most important thing as a capstone here. Are the Whigs for expansion? Whigs of territory. Why? That's going to be my next question. A lot of you guys can do like, oh, I have a 50-50. No. Well, then why would they be against expansion knowing what you know about the Whig Party? Divine, you've been on fire.
Weren't they trying to reduce conflict because like the whole thing going on like in Mexico with like Texas and stuff? Wait, I thought they didn't want to like reduce conflict.
Christian's going to help you out. He has the answer for you. There you go. That's the thing is. That's what it is. Hey, you started it. Definitely, you're right about that. They're kind of like worried about it, but the real reason is that the more additional sites. And we'll kind of end it here. Go ahead, sir. Right. It again, slave labor versus free labor, and you're in competition with that. So you do want to again in competition with that. Yes. What was the year of the first? What was the year of the first modern election? 1840. Thank you, Lord. You guys were wonderful, great. See you guys. Don't worry about that little heaven thing and